Ladies and gentlemen, the time has finally come. In this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden, the manga canon storyline has officially returned. And you know what? This week's episode was pretty... That's right, my friends. This week's episode of Naruto Shippuden is a welcome change to form. We are finally returning to the main storyline of the series. And this week's episode had some amazing, groundbreaking developments. Not only did we get to see the return of the awesome Madara Uchiha, but we also got to see the introduction of the penultimate villain of the series. That is right! Lady Kaguya has officially been revived, and she is really pissed off. Now, as exciting as this episode was, it was not a perfect episode. A lot of that has to do with the fact that they had to wrap up the Itachi backstory arc, and everything that they showed from Itachi this week was really not all that exciting. Basically, they just took all of the remaining scenes and events which involved Itachi, and they just flew right through them. So, if you've seen the series before, the first, 10 to 13 minutes of this week's episode are going to look incredibly familiar to you. And they actually went out of their way to, reanimate some of these scenes, like that scene where Sasuke confronts Itachi and you have Jiraiya and Naruto going up against Kisame inside of that hotel, and they could have just reused all of the old animation and just showed that as a flashback. The One Piece anime series does that all the time, but for some odd reason, the people who animate Naruto Shippuden just really love to waste their time and money by reanimating these scenes and not making them look as good as the originals. That being said, I really wish that they would have done something a little bit more with this Itachi backstory arc, especially the way that it all ended, because there were some really great episodes from that arc. All of the stuff with him when he was younger and joining the Anbu for the first time was really great. I loved seeing him be a part of the Akatsuki for the first time, having partners that we've never seen before, and it just sort of ended right here with just a lot of flashbacks of the character, and I just was sort of hoping it would go out on a much higher note, especially considering that the Itachi backstory arc is based on a novel series, and according to my commenters and subscribers, the novel is leaps and bounds better. There are a lot of expanded scenes which they completely glossed over in the anime version. Apparently there's this moment with Izumi Uchiha, who is that one female member of the Uchiha clan who is completely obsessed with Itachi, and during the Uchiha massacre in the anime version, Obito actually ends up killing her. However, in the novel version, Itachi is forced to kill her, but while he's doing this, he actually uses a genjutsu on her, which makes her believe that in her head, she married Itachi, had a family, and had a nice happy ending. This would have been an amazingly awesome and melodramatic scene to add to this arc, and unfortunately, they don't do anything with it. But enough about the past, let's head to the future. The rest of this week's episode was incredibly exciting. We finally returned to the big battlefield, the massive Senju tree, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi, going up against the effective god of the ninja world at the moment, Madara Uchiha, who continues to do what he does best, which is be incredibly intimidating and give some really awesome epic speeches, claiming that he is the savior of the ninja world. Or is he? Suddenly, out of nowhere, in the middle of this week's episode, Black Zetsu ends up thrusting his hand right through Madara's chest, and that's when you realize that something is not quite right. It looks like the puppet has actually taken control of the puppeteer. You see, Madara did not actually create Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu is the living will of Kaguya, the originator of chakra in the Naruto world. And this whole infinite Tsukiyomi plan with the massive Senju tree has all been a part of her weird, crazy, convoluted plan to revive herself. That's right, the infinite Tsukiyomi is not a jutsu which you can use to take over the world and bring about peace. It's actually meant to absorb chakra. So all of these people who have now been wrapped up by this tree have all of their chakra sucked out, which is all being siphoned into Madara's body, which is connected to Black Zetsu. And as the episode goes on, you can see that Madara's body starts to puff up and start to explode as it's absorbing all of this chakra, as Black Zetsu is actually pouring his essence into Madara all at the same time. I love the visual of his body starting to sort of slowly melt away from Obito's and starting to pour into Madara's core, when suddenly everything starts to finally compress back and you get to see Lady Kaguya has been revived. She's gonna be going up against Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi, and hell yes is it going to be exciting. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? This is an episode that I think that anime-only viewers are just going to absolutely love, and they're just going to be like, what the hell is going on? It's the exact same reaction I got when I was reading it in the manga for the very first time, especially because I just did not anticipate that there was going to be another villain who's going to be introduced right at the end of the series. And Kaguya is a really interesting character, one who has been built up a lot more in the anime version when compared to the manga, and honestly I think that works to her benefit, because in the manga version of the series, Kaguya just sort of appeared randomly at the end, and you just sort of had to accept that she was like the final evil character, whereas in the anime version, because there have been so many filler episodes and they've been taking their time with it, they've had a lot of time to sort of like expand on her character and let you know why she's so freaking important, and I know that we're going to learn a lot more about her in the future. We're inevitably going to get a Kaguya filler arc. We need to accept that, but when I say that this is a good thing, I really do mean it. They do need to expand on this character a little bit more. That being said, I do think it's really damned awesome that the true final villain of the series is going to be this really crazy primordial, like, bitch who's just filled to the brim with so much chakra that it's actually kind of funny. And she has some really crazy fighting abilities, some of which she actually kind of shows off in this week's episode. When Madara is being absorbed with all that chakra from the Senju tree and being taken over by Black Zetsu, you can see that Kaguya's hair sort of like explodes from that ball and actually grabs onto Naruto and Sasuke and can actually contain them even when they have that much power, which is a huge testament to what she's truly going to be capable of. And for those who do not read the manga, just sit back and relax. This chick is going to do some really crazy stuff, and I cannot wait to see how they are going to animate it. So, Kaguya has officially arrived in the Naruto Shippuden anime series. She's going to be a very controversial character. I can't wait to see how anime-only watchers are going to respond to seeing this character return. I will say I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this. I really hope that the animation quality is going to go up just a little bit. The preview for the next episode, while it did look like it's going to have a lot of great speedy action moments, it doesn't have the greatest looking animation in the world, but this is just the beginning of the arrival of Kaguya Otsutsuki. And it is an exciting time to be a Naruto Shippuden fan once more. The fillers are done. Let's kick back and enjoy all of this. Now, let me just give some more thoughts about this episode. Some things that I honestly think could have done maybe just a little bit better. First and foremost, Madara Uchiha. While I think he is an awesome villain, and he certainly has left his impact on the series, and he's had some amazing episodes, hell, his introduction when he fights against like those hundreds and thousands of ninja by himself is definitely the best Madara episode. I wish they could have put a little bit more attention into that when he was actually the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. I think that would have been a little more interesting, especially his weird clones that he has in that invisible space. I really wish they could have done more with that, especially with how cool they actually made it look in the video game versions of Naruto, the Ultimate Ninja Storm series on PlayStation 3 and on PlayStation 4. It just looks so much more impressive there, and unfortunately, this is basically the end for Madara Uchiha at this point. You're really not going to see this character again, aside from maybe a flashback and a small scene like towards the end of the series. It is all Kaguya time now, guys, so here it is. Kaguya is here, the finale is just around the corner, and they've been building a lot of fanfare for this finale. They even released like this brand new image of Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi as they're getting ready for this big finale. So the hype is real. That's really the best way to describe this week's episode, is just simply one word: hype. Right here. So, like I said, the first half of the episode did not impress me whatsoever with all of the Itachi flashbacks and everything, just going through the other big moments from his life. I think it took up way too much of the episode, and it honestly felt like it didn't need to be here, and it made this week's episode a little disjointed. That being said, returning to the war was really surprising. I honestly didn't think we were even going to get to it in this week's episode, and you had Black Zetsu, who decided to betray Madara, which is such a crazy moment in the series. And Black Zetsu is so cool. I love that shot of him from the side where it looks like he just has this really big grin on his face as he's really enjoying taking over Madara's body and basically knocking him down a peg or two, letting him know, you are not the savior, you are not the ultimate ninja, you're looking at him right here, and he's working for Kaguya. So awesome episode right here, despite the Itachi stuff. I'm giving this one right here a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Naruto fans. If you're only watching the anime, if you've read the manga and you want to check it out in anime form, check out this week's episode. You're bound to see something that you like. So, if any of you guys watch this week's episode, why don't you tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. What did you think of the arrival of Kaguya Otsutsuki? Were you shocked by these big events? What did you think of the finale of the Itachi story? And what do you want to see from the rest of the Naruto Shippuden anime series? Please tell me in the comments section below. You guys are freaking badass. Thank you for watching this review. I always really appreciate it. But if you guys would like to, please share this video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be able to see all our latest anime, manga reviews, and weekly podcast show. And make sure to check us out on social media. Thank you guys so much again for watching. And as always, stay dandy, baby.